A lot of people complain that there are too many sequels in video games. The developers are so inherently conservative and uncreative that they'd rather make a surefire seller by churning out the same old thing time after time with an increasingly large number or complex subtitle slapped on the end. The people accusing games of having sequelitis tend to forget that unlike books or film, games have a huge scope for changing and evolving their very nature, and sequels are one of the best ways of refining a good idea into something truly brilliant. Let's look at the original Star Control, which in itself is an evolution of the first true computer game, Space War. It adds a sort of strategic metagame to the one-on-one combat, and of itself it's not a bad game, providing an interesting amount of depth in the choices of ships you can use. But when it came to making Star Control 2, instead of just adding more ships and more environments in which to fight, developer Toys for Bob did something much more. Star Control 2 for the PC and 3DO took the fairly simple concept and basic plot of the first game and constructed a vast adventure story around it, adding exploration and diplomacy elements that took the series to a completely new place and made it one of the best games of all time. The story goes like this. During the war that takes place during Star Control 1 between the Alliance of Free Stars and the Urquan hierarchy of battle thralls, a scientific research vessel from Earth discovers an ancient facility on a distant planet but gets stranded by a sudden attack from the Urquan. Years pass, nothing is heard from Earth, and eventually the scientists begin to colonize the planet and discover the nature of the precursor structures, a starship factory. Using the limited resources available, they're able to construct the skeleton of one ship with which to make the journey back to Earth and seek aid. As commander of this ship, you discover that the Alliance lost the war and that Earth has been sealed behind an impenetrable force field. Now it's up to you to find out what's happened to the rest of the Alliance, start a rebellion, and save humanity.
This time, win the damn war.
I won't go any further than that because the story is one of the best parts of the game, particularly because of the way in which it's delivered. Aside from the opening, there are no cutscenes in the game. Everything you find out is through exploring the vast galaxy map and talking to the aliens you encounter, piecing information together from dozens of sources to produce a bigger picture. The narrative hooks you right from the start by presenting you with mysteries. Why have the Urquan supply vessels stopped maintaining their platform orbiting the Earth? What's the purpose of the robots patrolling the surface of the moon? Where are all the hostile probes coming from? Whilst the game will occasionally give you a nudge or two in the direction of the next phase of the plot, usually through some subtle clue about which star system needs investigation, the game is pretty much open for you to explore from the very beginning. The only limitation is how far you can go before you need to return to base and refuel. As you explore, you can collect resources which allow you to upgrade your starship and landing craft, gradually widening the area of space you can go to and the types of planets it's safe to land on. This freeform style creates a wonderful sense of discovery as you travel between the many star systems, which combines with the excellent music to give the game its distinctive atmosphere. The lonely synth of the real space theme creates a tangible feeling of being alone in a galaxy filled with dangers, whilst the more upbeat hyperspace music does an excellent job of making the map sparkle with possible worlds to explore. There's so much to see that at first it can be a little overwhelming. The star map is truly vast and it can be tricky remembering where you've been since the game has no logbook or journal. Make sure you have a pen and paper to hand to jot things down while still playing or you may miss vital clues. Stick at it and the exploration can be very rewarding, especially when you encounter a new alien race. Star Control 2 has to have one of the best casts of creatures ever assembled in video games, featuring widely different species, each with their own personality and extensive background fiction. Most of the friendly ones will have some task that needs performing, which breaks up the routine of gathering resources and always creates interesting little side stories. It's amazing how such a throwaway background from the first game was turned into such a complete and coherent universe that I just can't get enough of, particularly the voice acting in the CD-ROM versions of the game. My favourites would have to be the Spathi, a cowardly mollusk-like race who accidentally joined the ranks of the Urquan's battle thralls through their sheer incompetence. The game can be both funny and deadly serious when it needs to be, and does both comedy and drama very well. My one complaint about the game is, ironically, the principal trait is inherited from its predecessor, the combat. It just doesn't feel very controllable, and the game is actually best played when you try to avoid confrontation altogether. If you do find yourself in a fight, it's best to just jump into hyperspace and hope that you can outrun your pursuers. So, is Star Control 2 worth playing today? Yes, particularly as you can download the fan-made remake, the Urquan Masters, complete with CD voice acting and music, completely free. Play it now if you like adventure, sci-fi, exploration, great immersive story, or just good games in general. It's a real classic that you owe it to yourself to have played.
Disobedience will be punished.
the traditional Spatty prayer. Oh God, please don't let me die today. Tomorrow would be so much better.